Welcome to Week 14 of Take Charge of the Classroom, a web series designed to disrupt outdated behavior management models and help you create the classroom culture of your dreams. This week we are looking at release and how we can help our students succeed by giving them and supporting their agency. Now, agency, you might be thinking of like the CIA or maybe even like a talent agency, but agency is a term that we use in psychology to talk about how students can act and make decisions independently. And it has three different time-bound elements. We want students to be able to analyze past mistakes, so they need to be able to look back. They need to be able to act in the moment to make the right decisions, but they also need to look forward, and they need to anticipate, and they need to aim towards beneficial goals. So looking back, acting now, looking forward in the future, and with just a general attitude of alliance and help with others when they feel successful and they feel that they are supported, everyone wins. So how can we develop students' agencies so that they are more self-supportive and that they feel like they can accomplish anything that they put their minds to? In the larger picture, this is our third time through the Take Charge model. We are now going to be looking specifically either at student tasks or student responsibilities. We've looked at what teachers have done, what students have done, but now we're looking back through the heart of teaching. We've already seen relationships and respect and how powerful those two are. But how do we release it so that the students are successful? Because ultimately, teaching doesn't rely so much on what a teacher does, but on what students do. So we need to help them be successful. So what kind of teacher moves can we make in order for students to have that release, that agency, so we stop trying to control every moment of every day? Well, one thing that we can do with our students is very proactively, very specifically, help them set goals. And it's something you have to do explicitly. We might think that we encourage them to set goals, but goals are not goals until we write it down, until we talk about them, until we meet some, and then we don't meet some, and we talk about what we need to do in order to get there. Goal setting is a fantastic ability that even the youngest children in pre-K can do, but they're not going to learn it intuitively. It's something that needs to be modeled for them. And so what can you as a teacher do to help them set goals? Because that gives them the ability to aim for a future goal, figure out what actions they need to take to meet that goal, and then when they meet or don't meet that goal, reflect back and analyze any errors that might have popped up along the way. Because goal setting builds intrinsic motivation, right? That's the whole point of taking charge of the classroom, is that we have to stop chasing our kids around and trying to motivate them to do things. They do things, whether it be our tasks, whether it be learning, whether it be studying, whether it be completing a project, because they want to. And when they know how to set goals, they feel like they're in control. And that is a fundamental human need, is autonomy and control. So if you want to develop that in your students, help them set goals, academic goals, behavioral goals, any type of goals would work. It also impacts their self-regulation, because ultimately in the take charge model, right, we're wanting to decrease negative behaviors, increase positive behaviors. Well, part of the problem always comes the fact that they can't control themselves. When they set goals, they are more able to control their actions because they are a little bit more cognizant, a little bit more mindful of what they're doing. They're not just flailing around in the dark, but they can start to think, they can start to plan, but they have to be shown how. Setting goals will be messy in the short term. They will not have any frame of reference as to whether it's an accomplishable goal, whether it's outlandish, whether it's way too easy. So there will be some short-term messiness. So whether it be with an upcoming exam, right? Here's an example. Everyone knows there's an exam on Friday. Just ask them to set a goal. What do you want to get on it, the exam? You want to get an 85? You want to get a 92? You want to get a 100? Do you want to get a 70? Right? Maybe the kid that's never passed your exams all year long is going to aim for the 100. All right. Let that kid set the goal. That's only part of it. Once you take the exam, now you need to build in time to reflect. Give everyone a moment to think about what was your goal and what was your actual achievement. Now talk about, why do you think you got that score? And what can you do next time to do a better job of goal setting? Maybe they'll set a more reasonable goal. If the kids never passed anything, maybe the first goal should be 70. Or maybe they start talking about study habits. Maybe they start talking about listening. Maybe they start talking about not turning in their homework. Either way, you're getting them to think about their learning, and it's something that they do, that they are in control of. It's not done to them. Anytime we can release control to students and put them in the driver's seat, it is a win. So it will be a long-term win, but it will not be perfect. Do not dictate the goals to students. It has to be completely self-selected. Even if it's going to be completely outlandish, let them go with it, because you have the opportunity to let them reflect afterwards. But they have to experience the messiness of not being able to accurately set a goal in order to learn from it. And then the next time they do it, there's got to be a next time. It's not a one and done. If they do it constantly, they will start figuring out from a frame of reference that they're building through their experiences of how to make and achieve goals. But that means that you won't be in control anymore. That means that it won't necessarily be run according to your system, and that's the scary part of this. And quite honestly, when we talk about take charge, right, the secret is it's not really us that needs to take charge, it's the students. But we have to be able to release control, and that means that we have to train them on how to act accordingly, and part of that is goal setting. Part of that is making sure that they can set reasonable goals. So that is a huge way to build this agency and release, is by helping your students go through a goal setting and then goal reflection process. Another way to do it is to make sure that your classroom tasks have choices embedded within. We release our students to do the learning, to take the burden, when we give them choices. Once again, autonomy is one of our fundamental human needs. But when we give them choices, they may not be too excited about that classroom assignment. Not every kid is. But if you give them a choice as to where to start, maybe even a choice not related to the assignment, like where to sit, who to work with, or maybe there's 3 different things on the task card and they only have to do 2. Anytime you can embed any kind of choice into a task, it increases their motivation and autonomy, because they are choosing, and they'll be just a little bit more excited to get it done because they are choosing. We all want to be able to be in control of everything that we do. And just because you're 4 or 5 years old doesn't mean that hasn't happened yet. Kids want to be in control from day one. So rather than fight it, embed choice into classroom tasks. Now, reflection, right? That's the back part of setting goals. But there's another type of reflection that we can use specifically with behavioral incidents. When something happens, they blow up at their friend, they get angry, they do something out of just frustration, or maybe they're just sad and they're just disconnected, and something happens, there's an incident. After, not during, after everyone has kind of calmed down and it's time to think about it, there is a great opportunity for reflection that also builds in this idea of release. Asking students a series of questions after they have done whatever they did. Ask them, and honestly listen to their answers. This isn't an interrogation. You're not checking boxes off. Have a conversation with them. Ask them, what were you trying to accomplish? So when you pulled Janet's hair, what were you trying to accomplish? And just take whatever answer they have. They probably have never thought about it, right? But see if you can help them verbalize, what were they trying to accomplish? Most likely you get, I don't know, or I was bored, or I thought it would be funny. And then, did you get what you wanted, right? When Janet turned around and slapped him in the face, is that what he wanted? So start helping them go through that process of linking actions to consequences. And most likely, whatever happened to them, whether they got slapped in the face, whether they got sent out of the classroom, whether they got yelled at, embarrassed, it's not what they wanted. But what we need to do is allow them the space to link that negative reaction to something that they initiated with their poor behavior. And then finally, was there a better way to do that? If you wanted attention, was there a better way to do that? If you were bored and you just wanted something to do, was there a better way to get that done? reflection is always good after every behavioral incident. And quite honestly, I'm not a big fan of progressive discipline and taking things away from students, or necessarily, writing their name on the board or sending them up to the office. The point is not to punish a student, right? The point is to help them not do that again. Well, what I've found, not only through research, but through over 20 years of education, is the consequence doesn't really help stop that behavior in the future. What it does is just makes the student angry, and usually angry at you because they think it's unfair, because they've never really processed what caused them to do it in the first place. Asking these questions can replace 95% of your consequences, because what it does is it helps them process and reflect on what they were trying to accomplish. They most likely did not like that result. Trust me, they will find a better way to do it because they don't like what happened to them, but they need the space and the opportunity to find a way to connect those two. Their consequences, the natural consequences of whatever they did, the embarrassment, the slap in the face, whatever it happens to be, with something that they caused. They're smart enough to figure out, you know what, I don't like getting slapped in the face, I don't want to do that again. So the 3 parts of agency that are time-bound are aiming forward to set good goals, acting in the moment to be able to reach those goals, and then analyzing by looking back to see what happened. But that 4th element is an attitude of alliance. So what's the overall attitude? Students can have agency and they can feel released when they feel like they have an ally in the classroom. Now, there's a huge difference between an alliance and a non-aggression pact. Now, this is something from history here, but just go with me for a moment. If 2 countries have an alliance, they are together. If someone attacks one, they attack the other. They help each other out. There's a free exchange of ideas, of troops, of money, of everything, right? They are 2 countries, but they act as one. That's an alliance. And we've gotten in a lot of wars in the past, world wars, because of alliances. A non-aggression pact is different. A non-aggression pact is non-binding, and it simply says, well, if you don't attack me, I won't attack you. Like, we won't attack each other. But if someone attacks you, you're on your own, buddy. Like, don't count on me. I just promise not to be the one to attack you. And then obviously there's tons of examples in history, like Stalin invading Russia, or Hitler invading Russia, to where non-aggression pacts can be snapped in a moment. Students need an alliance from you. That's what builds safety. They need you on their side. They need you advocating for them, fighting for them. What they don't need is a distant, cold, detached, non-aggression pact teacher that's like, look, I'm just going to come in here and teach my lesson, and if you get it, if you get it, if you don't, you don't. I'm out at 4. That's not what they need. So if we want to take charge of the classroom, if we want to help them build agency, they've got to feel that we are their ally, that we are fighting for them. And that's what helps release control to students. That is the last part of heart, the heart of teaching. The relationships, the respect, and the release. As always, thank you for joining me. You can learn more about this entire web series and the book at aarondaffern.com/takecharge. You can email me at aarondaffern@gmail.com or follow me at aarondaffern.